Good morning. You must be Daniel.
Yes, that's right. Good morning.
Welcome. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. I hope you didn't have any trouble finding the office.
Not at all. The directions in your email were very clear, and I arrived a little early.
That's always a good sign. Please come in and have a seat.
Thank you.
Before we begin, would you like some water or perhaps a cup of coffee?
A glass of water would be great. Thank you.
Of course. How has your day been so far?
Pretty good, thank you. I have to admit, I was a little nervous on my way here, but I'm feeling much more relaxed now.
That's completely normal. Most candidates feel that way before an interview. Our conversation today is simply an opportunity for us to get to know each other better.
I appreciate that.
The interview should take around 45 minutes. I'll ask you some questions about your experience, your skills, and your career goals. At the end, you'll have plenty of time to ask me any questions you may have. Does that sound good?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Let's get started. Could you start by telling me a little about yourself?
Certainly. My name is Daniel Foster, and I've been working in customer service and project coordination for the past 6 years. I enjoy working with people, solving problems, and finding practical solutions. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with customers from different countries, which has helped me develop strong communication skills. Recently, I've been looking for an opportunity where I can continue to grow professionally and take on more responsibility. That's one of the reasons I apply for this position.
Thank you. You mentioned project coordination. Could you explain what your responsibilities included?
Of course, I coordinated small projects between different departments, monitored deadlines, scheduled meetings, prepared weekly progress reports, and communicated regularly with both clients and team members. Although I wasn't managing a large team, I was responsible for making sure everyone stayed informed and that projects moved forward smoothly.
That sounds like a role with quite a bit of responsibility. What did you enjoy most about it?
I'd say the variety. Every day was different. Some days I was speaking with clients, other days I was preparing reports, solving unexpected problems, or helping colleagues organize their workload. I really enjoy work that keeps me engaged and requires me to think critically.
Can you give me an example of one of those unexpected problems?
Certainly. There was one project where a supplier informed us that an important shipment would be delayed. The delay could have affected our delivery schedule, so I immediately contacted the client, explained the situation, and worked with our team to adjust the timeline. We also found an alternative supplier for part of the order, which helped reduce the delay. In the end, the client appreciated that we communicated openly instead of waiting until the last minute.
Communication seems to be something you value.
Very much. I've learned that people are usually understanding if they're kept informed. Problems often become much bigger when communication breaks down.
I couldn't agree more. What attracted you to our company?
I spent some time researching your organization before applying. I was impressed by your reputation, especially your focus on innovation and employee development. I also noticed that many employees have been with the company for several years. To me, that's usually a sign of a positive working environment.
I'm glad you took the time to learn about us. Was there anything specific in the job description that caught your attention?
Yes. I liked that the position combines communication, organization, and problem solving. Those are areas where I feel confident, but they're also skills I'd like to continue developing. I also appreciate that the role involves collaborating with different departments because I enjoy working with people who have different backgrounds and expertise.
That's interesting. Many of our projects involve cross-functional teams. Have you worked in that kind of environment before?
Yes. In my previous position, I regularly worked with colleagues from sales, customer support, logistics, and finance. Each department had different priorities, so clear communication was essential. I learned that listening carefully is just as important as expressing your own ideas.
Looking back at your career so far, what achievement are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of earning additional responsibilities over time. When I joined my previous company, I mainly handled customer inquiries. As I gained experience, I was trusted with coordinating projects and mentoring new employees. That showed me that my manager had confidence in my work, and I consider that a significant achievement.
What do you think helped you earn that trust?
I'd say consistency. I tried to meet deadlines, communicate honestly, and follow through on my commitments. Of course, nobody's perfect, and I've made mistakes like everyone else, but I believe it's important to take responsibility, learn from those mistakes, and keep improving.
That's a very professional attitude. Thank you, Daniel. You've given me a very good overview of your background. Now, I'd like to ask you some more detailed questions about your experience, your strengths, and how you approach different situations at work.
Of course, I'm ready.
Let's talk a little more about your professional experience. From your resume, I can see that you've worked in customer service, project coordination, and administrative support. Which role do you feel has prepared you the most for this position?
I think each role taught me something valuable, but project coordination probably prepared me the most. It required strong communication, careful planning, and the ability to manage several tasks at the same time. I also had to work with different departments, which taught me how important teamwork and organization are.
What would you say was the biggest challenge in that role?
Managing competing priorities. Sometimes, several projects required attention at the same time, and everyone believed their task was the most urgent. I learned to assess each situation, prioritize my workload, and communicate realistic deadlines instead of just saying yes to everything.
That's something we experience here as well. How do you usually decide which task should come first?
I start by identifying which tasks have the greatest impact on customers or the business. Then I consider deadlines and whether my work is preventing someone else from moving forward. If I'm ever unsure, I don't make assumptions. I speak with my manager to confirm the priorities. I've learned that asking for clarification early can prevent much bigger problems later.
That's a sensible approach. Have you ever missed an important deadline?
Fortunately, not often. There was one occasion when a supplier delivered information much later than expected, which affected our schedule. Although the delay wasn't caused by our team, I informed both my manager and the client immediately. We adjusted the timeline together and agreed on a new delivery date. It wasn't the outcome we wanted, but being transparent helped maintain the client's trust.
Let's talk about your strengths. What qualities do you think make you a valuable employee?
I'd describe myself as reliable, organized, and calm under pressure. I enjoy solving problems rather than focusing on them. I'm also someone who communicates openly. If I notice an issue, I prefer to discuss it early before it becomes more complicated. Finally, I enjoy learning. Whether it's new software, new procedures, or different ways of working, I'm always interested in improving my skills.
Could you give me an example of when your problem-solving skills made a difference?
Certainly. One of our customers reported receiving incorrect information from 2 different departments. Naturally, they were frustrated. Instead of transferring them again, I contacted both departments myself, compared the information, identified the misunderstanding, and called the customer back with a clear explanation. The issue was resolved the same day. More importantly, we updated our internal procedures so the same mistake wouldn't happen again.
So you didn't only solve the immediate problem, you also looked for a long-term solution.
Exactly. I believe continuous improvement is important. If the same problem keeps happening, it's usually a sign that something in the process needs to change.
How do you handle pressure? This position can become quite busy at certain times of the year.
I actually prefer staying busy. Pressure itself doesn't usually bother me. What matters is staying organized. When several tasks arrive at once, I make a plan, prioritize my work, and focus on one task at a time instead of worrying about everything at once. I've found that staying calm helps the rest of the team remain calm as well.
Have you ever had to make an important decision quickly?
Yes. During one project, a client requested major changes only 2 days before the final deadline. Waiting for several meetings would have delayed everything. I gathered the key team members, discussed the available options, and we agreed on the most practical solution within an hour. The client accepted our proposal, and we completed the project on schedule. That experience taught me that making a well-informed decision quickly is often better than delaying a decision while searching for the perfect solution.
I'd like to ask a question that many candidates find difficult. What would you say is one area where you'd still like to improve?
One area I've been working on is delegation. Earlier in my career, I sometimes felt responsible for solving every problem myself. Over time, I realized that effective teamwork means trusting your colleagues and sharing responsibilities. I'm much better at that now, but it's still something I consciously work on.
That's a thoughtful answer. How have you improved in that area?
I've learned to communicate expectations more clearly. Instead of simply assigning a task, I make sure everyone understands the objective, the deadline, and the resources available. I also schedule brief follow-up meetings instead of trying to do everything myself. I've found that this approach leads to better collaboration and stronger results.
How do you respond to constructive feedback?
I appreciate it. Of course, nobody enjoys hearing that they've made a mistake, but feedback helps us improve. I try not to take it personally. Instead, I ask questions, understand what could have been done differently, and apply that lesson in the future. Some of the best professional advice I've received came from managers who challenged me to improve, rather than simply telling me I was doing well.
Have you ever disagreed with feedback?
Yes, but I think disagreements can be handled professionally. If I have a different perspective, I explain my reasoning respectfully and listen carefully to the other person's point of view. Very often, we find a solution somewhere in the middle. The goal isn't to prove who's right, it's to achieve the best outcome for the team.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your thoughtful answers. For the final part of our interview, I'd like to present a few workplace scenarios and hear how you would handle them. These situations don't have one perfect answer. I'm simply interested in understanding how you think and make decisions.
That sounds good. I'm ready.
Now, I'd like to ask you a few situational questions. As I mentioned earlier, there aren't necessarily right or wrong answers. I'm interested in understanding how you approach different situations at work.
Of course.
Imagine that an important customer calls you. They're upset because they believe their order has been delayed, and they begin the conversation in a rather frustrated tone. How would you handle that situation?
The first thing I do is remain calm and let the customer explain the problem without interrupting. Even if they're frustrated, people usually want to feel that someone is listening. Once I understand the issue, I'd acknowledge their concerns and thank them for bringing it to our attention. Then, I'd review the order details before offering any solution. I don't think it's helpful to make promises until I have all the facts.
Suppose the delay wasn't actually your company's fault. The courier made a mistake. Would that change your response?
Not really. From the customer's perspective, they ordered from our company, not the courier. Even if another company caused the delay, I believe we still have a responsibility to help resolve the situation. I'd explain honestly what happened, tell them what steps we're taking, and keep them updated until the issue is resolved.
So, you believe communication is just as important as solving the problem itself.
Absolutely. Sometimes customers are more disappointed by the lack of information than by the delay itself. Keeping them informed helps build trust.
Let's imagine another situation. You're working on an important project, and one of your colleagues strongly disagrees with your approach. How would you deal with that?
First, I'd ask them to explain their point of view. It's easy to assume we're right, but sometimes another person sees something we've missed. I'd try to understand the reasons behind their opinion before defending my own. If we still disagreed, I'd focus on finding the best solution for the project rather than proving that my idea was better.
Have you experienced something similar before?
Yes. During one project, two team members had different opinions about how to organize the workflow. Instead of arguing, we listed the advantages and disadvantages of both approaches. After discussing them, we actually combined ideas from both plans. The final solution worked better than either of the original suggestions.
That's a good example of collaboration. I think successful teamwork often involves compromise. Everyone brings different experience and perspectives to the table.
I think successful teamwork often involves compromise. Everyone brings different experience and perspectives to the table.
Technology changes quickly. How do you usually respond when you're asked to learn a new system or software program?
I actually enjoy learning new tools. At first, it can feel unfamiliar, but I usually begin by exploring the software, reading the documentation, and watching any available training materials. Then, I practice using it in real situations. I found that hands-on experience is the fastest way to build confidence.
Can you remember the last time you had to learn something completely new?
Yes. Last year, our company introduced a new customer relationship management system. At first, many employees found it confusing because the interface was very different from what we were used to. I spent some extra time learning the new system and eventually helped several colleagues who had questions. It was satisfying because I improved my own skills while supporting the rest of the team.
Let's say you're working on several important tasks. Then your manager asks you to complete another urgent assignment before the end of the day. What would you do?
First, I'd review everything already on my schedule. If completing the new task would affect existing deadlines, I'd discuss the priorities with my manager. I think it's important to be realistic. Simply saying yes to every request may sound helpful, but it can actually create bigger problems later. I'd rather have a short conversation about priorities than disappoint someone by missing a deadline.
Have you ever had to do that?
Yes, more than once. Fortunately, my previous managers appreciated honest communication. When we discussed priorities openly, we usually found a practical solution together.
This position doesn't involve managing a team immediately, but there may be opportunities to supervise projects in the future. How would you describe your leadership style?
I'd describe it as supportive rather than controlling. I believe good leaders provide clear direction, listen to their team, and encourage people to contribute their ideas. At the same time, I think it's important to make decisions when necessary. A leader should be approachable but also willing to take responsibility.
Have you ever led a team?
Not as an official manager. However, I have coordinated small project teams and mentored new employees. Those experiences taught me that leadership isn't only about giving instructions, it's also about helping people succeed.
What motivates you to do your best work?
Several things. I enjoy solving problems and seeing the results of my work. I also appreciate working with colleagues who support each other and communicate openly. Knowing that my work contributes to a larger goal keeps me motivated. Finally, I like learning. If I feel that I'm developing professionally, I naturally become more engaged in my work.
And what tends to reduce your motivation?
A lack of communication. When expectations aren't clear or information isn't shared, it becomes difficult for everyone to perform effectively. That's one reason I value regular meetings and open conversations within a team.
Thank you, Daniel. Those were all the questions I had prepared. You've provided thoughtful and well-structured answers, and I appreciate the examples you've shared. Before we finish, I'd like to give you the opportunity to ask me any questions you have about the position or the company.
Thank you. I do have a few questions if that's okay.
Of course, please go ahead. What would you like to know?
Thank you. I'd like to start by asking what a typical day in this role looks like.
That's a great question. No 2 days are exactly the same, but generally, the morning begins with reviewing priorities and checking emails. Depending on the projects you're involved in, you may attend team meetings, communicate with clients, prepare reports, or coordinate with other departments. Some days are quite busy, while others allow more time for planning and long-term projects. Overall, it's a role that requires flexibility and good organizational skills.
That sounds like the kind of environment I enjoy. I like having a variety of responsibilities rather than doing the same thing every day. How do you support new employees during their first few weeks?
We have a structured onboarding process. During your first week, you'll receive training on our systems and internal procedures. You'll also be assigned a mentor who can answer questions and help you settle into the team. We don't expect anyone to know everything on the first day. Learning takes time, and we'd rather people ask questions than guess.
I really appreciate that approach. I think having someone available for guidance makes a big difference when starting a new position. How would you describe the company culture?
I describe it as collaborative and respectful. People are encouraged to share ideas and support one another. Of course, we work hard and there are busy periods, but we also believe in maintaining a healthy work-life balance. We want employees to feel comfortable asking questions and offering suggestions. Some of our best ideas have come from people who joined the company only recently.
That's encouraging to hear. I enjoy working in environments where people are open to new ideas. Are there opportunities for professional development, for example, training courses or certifications?
Yes, we encourage continuous learning. Depending on your role and career goals, the company supports professional training, workshops, and online courses. Managers also meet regularly with employees to discuss career development and future opportunities. We believe investing in our employees benefits everyone.
That's something I value. I don't just want a job. I'm looking for a place where I can continue learning and growing over the long term. What qualities do you think are most important for someone to succeed in this position?
I'd say communication, adaptability, and initiative. Technical skills can be taught, but having the right attitude is equally important. We're looking for someone who isn't afraid to ask questions, takes responsibility for their work, and enjoys collaborating with others. Being proactive also makes a big difference. We appreciate employees who look for solutions instead of waiting for someone else to solve every problem.
That makes perfect sense. Those are qualities I've been trying to develop throughout my career. Could you tell me a little about the team I'd be working with?
Certainly. It's a relatively small team of 10 people with different backgrounds and areas of expertise. Some members have been here for many years, while others joined more recently. Everyone works closely together, and collaboration is a big part of our daily routine. You'll also have opportunities to work with colleagues from other departments on larger projects.
I enjoy working with different people. I think diverse perspectives often lead to better ideas and better decisions. One last question. What are the next steps in the recruitment process?
We'll complete the remaining interviews this week. After that, our hiring team will review all the candidates and we'll contact everyone with an update by early next week. If you're selected for the next stage, there will be a short meeting with the department manager. That conversation focuses more on the role itself and gives you an opportunity to meet the team.
Thank you. I appreciate you explaining the process.
Well, Daniel, that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure meeting you and learning more about the company.
You have everything you need before you leave?
Yes, thank you. You've answered all of my questions.
Excellent. We'll be in touch within the next few days. Have a safe journey home.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Goodbye.
Goodbye.